Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading. It is a Tuesday afternoon. I'm a little bit late and a little bit hoarse because it is singing day Tuesday. So that's what I've been doing. But I now have the Uncommon Tarot out on the tarot table. And we're using this tarot deck to have a little bit of fun. We're going to look at some rivalry between the new Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex over a brand that they both like very much and allegedly fell out over, and that would be Turkish, Canadian, British, whatever he is, designer Erdem. And Catherine was wearing a wonderful outfit at the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster. She looked absolutely sensational and very happy. And of course, it was 3 years ago that Meghan and Harry did their, I think it was their last public made their last public appearance as working royals at that Commonwealth Day service where there was so much tension. William looked quite ill, Catherine looked furious. They completely ignored the Harkles. That was the one where Meghan showed up in her praying mantis outfit, as some people called it. Harry had the same green colour lining his suit, very silly, very tacky in my opinion and many other people's opinions. That was the day the Harkles insisted on walking in with they were then the Cambridges, even though they were supposed to be sitting down waiting for the senior royals to walk in. There was all kinds of conflict, all kinds of tension, all kinds of drama. Sophie was the one that gave Meghan a very great put down and gave her a look which really made her very uncomfortable. It was a very dramatic day. And 3 years later, Catherine, as I say, is looking sensational. She's wearing the designer that Meghan Markle had her eye on, her sights on, but allegedly nose out of joint. And that nose does look like it is quite out of joint a lot of the time, in my opinion. But allegedly she was pushed down the running order and Catherine was given priority when it came to choosing designers because she was more senior. And so that caused some conflict between the two women, both of them, well, one trying very hard to be a style icon and the other just actually rather effortlessly becoming one. So today we're going to do a cheeky little reading, 5-card reading with the Uncommon Tarot because, of course, trying to be uncommon. He is quite a quirky designer. He uses some quite lavish prints. I remember Plant, I'm sure it was Plant who absolutely loathed Catherine wearing his designs, but this one was more restrained and very pretty. And then Sophie, of course, also turned up in a hat, cream kind of marshmallow looking hat. She looked lovely in it, I have to say, but it was reminiscent of that hat that Meghan wore when she was allegedly heavily pregnant, rather a nurse-ish looking hat. And I want to know what's going on. I want to know how Catherine was, whether this was intentional, Catherine throwing some shade, or whether Sophie was throwing some shade with that hat, whether they were having a bit of fun at Meghan Markle's expense, how Meghan Markle feels back in Montecito when she sees these things. And the final question, is Meghan going to clap back on one of her many alleged Twitter accounts? She's talking about how she should be a Dior ambassador, reminiscing about that dress that some people unkindly called the Smeg fridge outfit, that very short white dress. She was at some vaccine equity concert, I think. Looked a bit unfortunate. But so that's so far. We're going to see what she's going to do to try and steal back her thunder from Catherine and possibly Sophie as well. So a little bit of silliness, why not? And of course it is just tarot, it is just silliness, it is for entertainment purposes, rumour, gossip, archetypes, disclaimer in the box below. I don't need to say more, you can read the disclaimer. And our underlying energy is the moon. Ooh, quite a disturbing energy always with the moon. And of course, I forgot to mention that Catherine was not only wearing the designer that Megan had her sights set on, but also Diana's earrings. And I think she had a brooch on also that was once in a choker or something that Princess Diana wore, and that she turned into a brooch. So ouch. And we have Princess Diana showing up here as the moon, the underlying energy, the Diana card, one of the Diana cards. But it is also a card of shade, the moon, isn't it? Literally shade, because it's darkness, shadow, your subconscious, your shadow self that's projected outwards, your fears, your doubts, the things that you dread most, the things that aren't very clear to you, where you might be lost or confused or doubting. And it's a wonderfully descriptive card for underlying energy of this, as I say, very silly reading, just to have some fun. Before we get to the serious reading of the day, well, the somewhat more serious reading, we're having a light day today, just so you know. We're not doing heavy things. Oh, and we might as well pull him out as well. There's the Hermit. There's old has-been. He's hovering around here. We'll put him back on the tarot cards. We don't need him out here. But that is an interesting card when we're talking about throwing shade. The situation. What are we dealing with? And we've got the Queen of Swords in reverse. And that is, that's quite a mean female energy. That's not a kind and sweet energy at all. Queen of Swords is somebody who's been through it. She's had tough times. She's learnt to control her emotions and not be swayed by her heart. She's become quite ruthless, quite self-reliant, quite cold. When she's upright, when she's in the reverse, can be quite a bitch. And I think we're dealing with a bit of that bitch slapping. So the machine doesn't punish me. Yeah, definitely this is some retribution coming from this Queen of Swords. Catherine doesn't often show up in that energy, not at all. She's our Earth Queen, our Queen of Pentacles, but she's showing up as the Queen of Swords in reverse. It's time for some punishment. It's time to dish out some pain. It's time to put that you-know-who in her place, in my opinion, speculating, and ruthless and pretty cruel. Pretty vengeful, the Queen of Swords in reverse. The timing impeccable, the day picked, the outfit picked, and somebody probably on the floor in Montecito, but we will find out how she's responding to this. A card for Catherine. What was she up to? Her feelings. What's she doing? And we have these cards. Wow, it's death. It's death in reverse. It's quite hard to read these cards. They're multimedia cards, and the keywords on them are quite tricky to see, but I do like this deck. I have no complaints about it, but just as I say, it takes me a bit of time sometimes to remember what the card actually is. I'm still learning this tarot deck. But death is about change and endings, and Catherine knows that this hasn't ended yet. She's in this situation, and it's a serious situation. A situation I think she would like very much to end, but it's not in her power to end. And so she finds herself in these same scenarios. This time she doesn't have Megan walking behind her or barging through the chairs so that she could get to prime position when they were leaving that service. That was one of the funnier moments, to see a Duchess actually sort of ploughing through the chairs so she could fight her way ahead of the then Duke and Duchess of Wessex, and to be in the prime spot with the cameras on them. It was very trashy, very vulgar, but it hasn't ended yet. It hasn't ended. Catherine feels that she is still stuck in a tricky situation, one she would like to end, one she cannot end, a difficult situation. It needs to end. She knows it needs to end, hasn't ended yet. So the major arcana, we're getting difficult cards coming out. And both of them, for me, the moon is one of the cards that for me is karma and ties that bind from other lives and from previous encounters. And the death card is too. It's a tie that still binds, and it will bind while the Scorpio, who is the death card, while the Scorpio is still around. Of course, Charles was leading the day. King Charles, it was all about him. And we have got some time to go before perhaps Catherine feels she will be truly rid of something that is very toxic and very difficult and she would like to be rid of. How did Sophie feel? Was Sophie up to something as well? Catherine has a very serious energy for this, all the smile on her face, and she looked light as a feather. She's not feeling it in her heart of hearts. Sophie, we've got the Knight of Swords. We've got a similar energy, Knight of Swords in reverse. It's just down a notch from the Queen of Swords. This is second in command. This is these two collaborating. Absolutely, they do seem to get on very well. This is my speculating as a tarot reader, reading energy, reading archetypes, reading cards. And I do think that Sophie was right there behind Catherine, in on it as well, just as ruthless, just as determined to cut and to make a statement. Swords are about making statements. They are about expressing your opinion, your words, your thoughts very clearly. And the sword down like this is, you're not articulating anything because the sword is down, but you are showing something. And it's ruthless and it's quite out of the blue. Swords are fast moving energy, particularly this Knight of Swords is quite surprising. People might be quite surprised that Sophie was behaving like that. People are a little bit grudging about some of her behavior. She is on top of the world at the moment, perhaps, and a little bit over exuberant for some people's tastes at that service. But anyway, this is not what the reading is about. But it's very interesting that we have a kind of a pair here, the Queen and then her Knight backing her up with those swords. And so how did Megan feel in Montecito, who's trying her best to be a Dior ambassador and might be reviving her TIG very soon, TIG blog. We're going to look at that next. How did Megan feel? Did she have to fling herself on the floor and sob? How did it go for her? Wow, we've got the Ace of Swords. The energy is all here about clarity and vengeance and justice and making your point with the sword very clearly. She felt it. She knew that they were in this very powerful position of Ace of Swords. It's a new start for both of them. They've both been given very serious rank now, titles in the royal family, Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Edinburgh. They have been elevated, very powerful. They're in new positions, which would be the Ace of Swords. They have all kinds of new power. They have all kinds of new status. They have new ways of telling their message, which they certainly got across. This is not falling on the floor sobbing. We're going to find out how is Megan going to clap back, if at all. What is she plotting? She did that little pap walk in that very bland black outfit with those clown shoes, in my opinion, those giant shoes, those mules. What is she going to do? If anything, can she? I've got the Seven of Wands, but it's in reverse. Tricky for her. And it doesn't look like she's going to be able to muster anything, because the Seven of Wands is about defending yourself, defending your position and your status when it's upright, but when it's in reverse, being very vulnerable, feeling you're under attack and not really able to withstand that attack, losing position, losing face, being vulnerable. That is her outcome. So much as she might like to push back and clap back and do something, she doesn't really have an opportunity to do it in any way. There is no big royal event where she's going to be showing her face, except possibly the coronation. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Catherine and Sophie will be in sensational and very regal outfits with possibly very important roles to play, whereas Megan, not so much, if she's even there. So she doesn't really have an opportunity to do anything right now. I think her best chance is the Met Gala. There's rumours about that again. There are every year, claiming that the Harkles have been invited. But the Met Gala, Commonwealth's Day service, they don't really stack up, do they? They're not equal. And Meghan Markle knows it. However many pics she's posting of herself on various alleged Twitter accounts that allegedly have something to do with her, either directly or through a fan. So good luck with that, Meghan. As Liz Jones said, writing about this conflict, that it's not exactly a battle. All Catherine had to do to win it was to have an iron and a mirror. And so on that note, that snarky note, let's close this reading. Thanks for watching, and we'll get on to the reading about the Tig.